Sarah has grown up watching her neighbor, Dale Landis, put up a tree on the rooftop every year. When he's about to face legal troubles for it, she fights the case against a handsome attorney, John. Sarah drives up to her hometown of Rosedale and is glad to run into her neighbor, Mrs. Costello. Her parents, Frank and Abby, are excited to celebrate Christmas with Sarah after 3 years. Sarah's law firm, Chandler Abbott and Jonas in D.C., has kept her on her toes for years. She's always busy during the holidays too. Her parents feel bad about what happened with her ex, Richard. Sarah knows Richard is a good man, but they wanted different things in life. A truck with the rest of her stuff is coming soon, and Abby offers to let her stay in her old room. Sarah knows she needs her own place if she has to start her law practice. She has already found a great place in town with a spare bedroom that can be used as an office. They know it'll be a huge change, but Sarah is glad to not deal with sharks for a while. Abby also wants her to sit back and let them spoil her for a bit. They're ready for the Christmas tree and light it up together. Sarah looks out of her window at night and watches her neighbor, Dale Landis, bringing out a Christmas tree. She heads out to greet him and asks if he remembers her. He doesn't respond, but Mrs. Costello joins her. As expected, Dale is bringing out the tree a week before Christmas to set it up on the rooftop. Sarah has seen the tree from her bedroom at night since she was a little kid. She always felt nice looking at it, since it seemed like it was floating. She wants to help him, but Mrs. Costello knows he never needs anyone. Neighbors gather around and warn Dale about how risky it is. More people are gathered in the morning because Dale has become a Christmas tradition in Rosedale. Everyone applauds for him when the tree is lit, but Dale wants to be left alone. Sarah goes to meet her childhood friend Jessica at her restaurant. She hasn't visited since Jessica opened her place, but has read a lot of nice things online. Jessica knows Sarah's parents must be very excited to have her back. Sarah claims it was time to leave her law firm. She's glad it's over with Richard too, so Jessica suggests finding her someone else. Sarah asks her not to, since she's taking a break from romance. Sarah stares with wonder at the courthouse, just like she did as a girl. Judge Sam Connor remembers the old days and how curious she always was. He knows Sarah wants to open her new practice and even got a call from her old boss, Carl Jonas. He wanted Sam's help to talk Sarah out of quitting and was willing to offer a huge promotion. Sarah admits the money was good, but she has never cared about that. Sam told Carl that if Sarah wanted to leave, she must have a good reason. He asked her to come by his chambers for lunch the next day. He also remembers she likes tuna salad sandwich. She never ate anything else whenever she visited from law school. As Sarah drives back home, she notices someone knocking on Dale's door with a police officer. The bailiff gives him a warning and pastes a notice on his door. Sarah loves Abby's cooking and is sure she's invited the whole town for Christmas dinner. She informs her parents about what she saw outside Dale's door. They're not surprised, because they know Dale is being served a court order to take the tree down. It's a building code violation and a serious fire hazard. Dale has been putting up the tree since Sarah was 9 years old, but her parents feel a lot has changed in just 3 years. When Sarah was a kid, everyone knew Dale and didn't mind the tree. They knew how hard it was for Dale to be without his family on Christmas. In the last few years, Dale has stopped leaving the house and only comes out around Christmas. A lot of new people moved in, and they either complain or Dale's tree eventually comes on the city's radar. He is served a notice every year, but he prefers to spend Christmas in jail rather than taking it down. Sam always asks him about the reason in court, and Dale always claims he likes how the tree looks. Sarah switches off her lights and looks out of her window. She remembers the time when she was young and saw Dale's wife and son leaving him. In the present, she watches as Dale comes out of the door sneakily and looks around. Sarah hears John talking about his work while she's jogging. She pauses to take a breath, but John asks her to keep going since she was doing great. John is still talking to Steve on call about his boss and keeps cutting the line to get ahead. He pretends he knows Sarah so he can join her ahead in the line. He offers to buy her coffee since he's running late and wants to take her place. She knows he's just cutting the lines and hates guys like him who feel only their phone calls are important. She orders her coffee and clarifies to the cashier that John is not with her. Abby is out for Christmas shopping while Frank is working on a table. Sarah informs him about her lunch with Sam. She asks if Frank misses being a lawyer, because he left that life 20 years ago. Frank only misses the feeling of things working out, and when he could make a real difference to someone's life. Sarah is thinking about the time when she was a kid, and Frank told her he had found something that makes him happy after quitting law. Frank knows it was a big leap of faith to leave his stable job and start building furniture. He knows he never had the passion for being a lawyer like Sarah does. He knew they were risking their future when he left his firm and went through many tough times financially. He thinks there's no certain way to know if you have made the right choice. He asks her to look into her heart and trust the feeling. Sam's assistant, Marcy, is glad Sarah is back for good. She promises to send clients her way. Sarah finds Sam in conversation with John, who is the deputy prosecuting attorney for the county. He has been working with Sam for a year, and he introduces Sarah as the pride of Rosedale. John is impressed she worked with a big law firm. Sarah wonders what someone like John is doing in their town. Sam is not sure, but he feels John seems to like it there. Sarah claims to know his type of men, who are all about getting the job done. Sam remembers the first time Sarah walked into his chambers and told him she wanted to be a lawyer. He knows she was never afraid of the hard questions. Sarah thinks she's unsure about things these days. She claims she just wants to make a difference. Sam feels she has helped her clients find justice many times. But Sarah feels law has become more about winning than justice these days. She knows she's not naive, but hates that the gray areas in law are becoming bigger. She doesn't like when her clients suffer because of things that are not in her control. She explains why she left her firm. A woman and her children were being kicked out of their apartment. The owner wanted to convert the building into a co-op, and the woman couldn't afford it. Sarah wanted to take her case pro bono. She knew she could stall them enough so the family isn't on the streets for Christmas. She wasn't allowed to take the case because the owner of the building was her firm's client. She claims she would have done it on her own time, but it seemed like a conflict of interest to them. She has seen many such cases and knew she couldn't stay at the firm anymore. She is not sure if she wants to continue being a lawyer and hopes Sam is not disappointed in her. Sam feels it's rare to have a good heart and a great legal mind like hers. He knows they all have to admit they can't save everyone. Sam knows she would feel happy with just one case that would make her believe again. He knows she just needs to make a difference in someone's life. John knows Sarah finds it rude when he talks while jogging, so he throws away his earpiece. He finds her again in the coffee house and asks her to check that it's off. She thought he threw it away, but he admits he was trying to be dramatic. He wants to be considerate to people, but she feels he's trying too hard to sound sincere. She makes it clear that nothing can happen between them, since he seems to be trying to charm her. He clarifies that he just wanted to share her table. She feels awkward and moves her stuff so he can sit. She feels bad for assuming something, but claims she had a tough year. He thinks it has something to do with her moving back to town. He knows people line up to get jobs at her old firm. Since she willingly left it, there must be an appeal to this place. He knows her life in DC must have come with huge perks and a lot of money. He also knows that life is not for everyone. She is confused if he's actually sincere or just pretending again. John admits he likes Rosedale and used to dream about a small-town life as a kid. His parents moved around a lot and never set up roots anywhere. He always used to imagine living in a place like this, where people help each other out. He is excited about his first Christmas in Rosedale. Sarah starts bragging about the huge tree lighting ceremony, where the whole town comes out to sing carols and drink hot cider. When she mentions Santa, he admits that sounds great. When he gets a work call this time, he heads outside to take it. Frank and Abby are glad to have Jessica bringing her food for them. Jessica is surprised she saw Dale on his bicycle on the way in. She has seen him after a year. Sarah's parents know he must be riding to the courthouse. After the order, he has 2 days to take down the tree or appear in court. He never takes it down, but always arrives at the court. They know Sam will not immediately put him in jail and give him a few days to think about it. Sarah realizes Dale doesn't have a lawyer since he insists he doesn't need one. Sarah feels he needs an attorney to understand what's happening to him. She asks for Frank's opinion, who feels every Christmas story needs a happy ending. He doesn't know if that will happen for Dale, but Sarah is determined to get him one. Sarah enters the courthouse and watches Sam greeting Dale politely. Sam jokes about Christmas being incomplete without a visit from him. Sam points out that he has violated the town's building codes again because of the tree. He received the court's order to take it down, and as usual, he doesn't intend to. Sam reminds him that he's obliged by law to follow this through. John takes over and starts explaining how Dale has been ignoring identical court orders for 3 years. On behalf of the town of Rosedale, John asks for an immediate court date for Dale. He also asks for a fine of $5,000 for each day the tree stays on his roof. Sam thinks that's extreme, but John reminds him this has been going on for years. He wants Dale to take it seriously, but Dale admits he doesn't have any money. Even then, Dale refuses to take the tree down and claims he likes it up there. John asks for a psychiatric evaluation to determine Dale's competency to accept the charges. Sam thinks this is harsh too, but John points out it's a matter of public safety. Sam decides to consider John's suggestion and gives a new court date to Dale. Sarah questions John about the psych evaluation and insists that Dale is just lonely. She claims to know this because she's his neighbor. John starts smiling because he is amused by how everyone in town knows each other. Sarah insists there's nothing wrong with him, but John refuses to discuss an ongoing case. She knows that's his tactic to deflect the fact that he pulled the big guns too fast. Sarah insists Dale is not crazy, but John feels there's something wrong with him breaking laws every year. He feels the fact that Dale wants to go to jail makes him not sound like a rational man. Sarah reminds him this is just about a tree, but John insists he has to respect the law in a courtroom. She makes him understand how important it is to have faith in people by trying to understand them. She knows Dale must be miserable and lonely celebrating Christmas alone every year. John knows she's trying to think about people, but insists he only understands the law. Sarah finds Abby and Mrs. Costello discussing how Dale is trying to straighten the tree. Sarah explains that things didn't go well in court, and she wants to make sure Dale doesn't go to jail. She asks them to go back inside so she can talk to him. Sarah compliments Dale's tree and claims it's just like she remembers it. She wants to talk about what happened at the courthouse and decides to climb up to join him. Dale remembers she used to have a shiny blue soccer ball, which she kicked into their yard once. His son, Danny, loved the ball, so she played with him for a long time. He thinks that was very nice of her, so she asks about Danny. He doesn't seem comfortable discussing it, so she brings the topic back to court. She asks if he understands what happened in court. He knows John is trying to prove he's crazy. Sarah assures him she doesn't think that way, but feels his case could get complicated. She thinks he should have a lawyer, but he refuses to get one. She asks Dale to help her out instead, because she needs the first client for her law practice in town. She asks if he can allow her to sit with him in court. She promises she won't say or do anything that makes him feel uncomfortable. He remembers how nice she was to Danny and agrees to help her. Sarah starts searching for his son online, but can't find anything. John runs up to her and they chat about the weather. He likes that they can banter like this. She asks if he really wants to give Dale a psych evaluation. She knows he can't have it both ways, and charge him a fee while also questioning his mental health. She knows he can't penalize someone if they're not responsible for their actions. He is impressed by this, and that she has managed to convince Dale to be her client. She claims Dale was happy to have her as his friend. Sam is also impressed that she managed to convince Dale to let her represent him. She claims they have an understanding, and wants to first figure out why he puts the tree up. She knows about Danny, but they moved away when he was very young. She can't find him online, and wants to get in touch with a family member who can make him listen. Sam asks Marcy to pull out all the files on Dale in the last 3 years, so Sarah can begin her research. She starts going through all the files and taking notes. John watches her getting frustrated about not finding any details on Dale outside Christmas. John brings fresh cider for her and reminds her that she worked through dinner. She asks if he was spying on her and doesn't get that he was making a gesture. She feels bad for doubting him and admits she gets cranky when she's hungry. He has already brought her favorite tuna salad sandwich. He eats at the diner a lot and has heard Marcy taking her order. John apologizes for lecturing her on the case the other day. He knows Dale is more than a client for her and claims he gets caught up when he's on a case. She admits she gets caught up too and understands that he has to do everything he can to win a case. He offers her the sandwich as a token of their professional respect. He envies her for having faith in people, because he never does. She agrees to share her sandwich with him if they don't discuss the case. Sam watches them discussing something and feels happy that they are bonding. John discusses his ex-girlfriend, who was with him all through law school. He ignored the signs when she took up a job in DC and stopped returning his calls. He hasn't had any luck since then, because women don't relate to his love for a small-town life. Sarah explains that she gave up on romance since it's too exhausting to date in the city. Everyone is chasing connections and winning at life. She now feels John is not like that. He is surprised by the compliment, and she kisses him. He asks her to remember he means what he said about professional respect. Jessica is impressed Sarah managed to convince Dale. Sarah still feels John is a worthy opponent. Jessica remembers him from her restaurant. She has always seen him with the same attractive woman who must be out of town. Jessica thinks John doesn't realize people in small towns gossip and notice these things. Sarah is annoyed when John greets her in court and is eager to start the case. Sam knows Dale has not taken down the tree yet and asks John to begin. John wants to withdraw the motion of fining Dale for the tree, but feels it still poses a danger to the community. Dale insists he would never hurt anyone, but Sam asks him to let John continue. John claims he still wants the psych evaluation and asks Sam to authorize immediate takedown of the tree. Dale wishes he doesn't have to take it down, and Sarah also points out that the case is about his wishes. She doesn't let John continue and claims it was always Dale's wish to keep the tree on the roof. John feels he also must have wished to break the law, but Sarah thinks this case is now more about Dale's understanding of the law. John is confused about why Dale and Sarah are speaking together. Sarah explains that she is assisting Dale in the case for legal advice. She cites an old case where a man was allowed an advisor when he didn't want an attorney. This doesn't make sense to John, because he feels she's either his lawyer or not. They start arguing about the tree again, and she accuses John of trying to impress people. Sam calls Sarah and John to his chamber. John wonders why she's assuming that he is making up stories. Sarah seems to be sure he would do anything to win the case. He questions her cheap shot with the citation, and thinks she's forcefully trying to help Dale. Sarah doesn't think he understands the issue, because he has never seen the tree. She has grown up looking forward to it every year. She knows the tree there might be technically illegal, but it makes him and other people happy. She refuses to believe that means Dale is crazy, and doesn't want the psych evaluation. Sam admits Dale is breaking the law like John pointed out, but he also feels Sarah is right about him being harmless. He feels there must be a different solution, and asks them to find it together. Sam wants something that will satisfy Dale, and also help the court. He thinks if Sarah and John put the effort they're wasting on arguing into finding a solution, they will bring a lot of Christmas cheer. He doesn't listen to their protests, and asks them to come to him with a solution the next day on Christmas Eve. John doesn't understand why she's angry at him, but decides to start working with her. They divide work for research and start picking out books. John brings her coffee, and they work well into the night. John hears something, and Sarah knows they must be lighting the Christmas tree. She has been looking forward to this for years. John decides they should pause work and go for the lighting. It's just like Sarah remembers, since this is where she learned to put her faith in people. She remembers she's angry with John and thinks they should head back to work soon. She explains that it's a small town, and her best friend Jessica has seen him at the restaurant. He doesn't understand what's wrong with that. Her parents come over to greet her when they're discussing this. She introduces John as the attorney handling Dale's case. John explains that he's now working with Sarah to find a solution. Sarah gets irritated and walks off in the middle. John explains that the girl Jessica saw him with was his little sister, Emily. She's a senior in college and loves to visit Jessica's restaurant whenever she's visiting. Sarah feels bad for assuming something, and John promises he has never lied to her. They kiss and head back to watch the tree lighting. John explains that he took the job in Rosedale because of Emily. They moved around so much that he wanted her to have a stable home. John's parents left them to fend for themselves. He knew he had to look after Emily from that point as a big brother. He felt nothing would be handed down to him, so he would have to take what he gets. Sarah reminds him of Emily, because she also has faith in people. Sarah is sure she has it, because of a big brother like him. They realize they need to wrap up in the morning, when they haven't even found a lead. John thinks they need a Christmas miracle to keep Dale out of jail. She finds a case about people who had a platform on their roof with a display and Christmas tree. The county asked them to take the tree down for the same reason. The judge ruled they could keep the tree as long as it wasn't attached to the roof. They realize this is exactly what they need, and John asks her to show him the tree. They find the bailiff taking down the tree with his team. Sarah and John explain that the case is still being heard in court. The bailiff shows them his notice and claims he cut down their work. He asks Sarah to tell her client he might still be looking at jail time. Sarah feels they've come too far to back down now. Sam knows it was legal for them to take the tree down, but is glad they found the loophole. He knows there's no issue now without a tree, but Sarah wants to put it back up. Sam thinks she already made a difference by finding a solution and ensuring that Dale doesn't end up in jail. He asks her to spend Christmas Eve with the people she loves. Sarah doesn't think they've made a difference, because she feels this is about Dale. He's still alone in a big house, with no one to spend Christmas with. He just wanted the tree on his roof, and Sarah wants to grant his Christmas wish. She asks for John's help, and Sam agrees to help them get a building permit. They get wood for the platform and a tree from the lot. Sarah knocks on Dale's door to inform him that they're putting his tree back up. He doesn't respond, but her parents come out to start helping her, and John put up the tree. Dale watches all the commotion from his window, but doesn't step out. The bailiff approaches Sarah, but she explains that Sam knows about this. The bailiff has been asked by Sam to deliver the building permit with a smile to them. They start decorating the tree, and Sam also comes over with some help. John asks Sarah to join him upstairs, and she climbs up so they can light the tree together. Everyone cheers for them, and John knows this is all because of her. They get down to inform Dale about the tree. He comes out to take a look, but doesn't seem very excited. John assures Sarah that even if Dale didn't respond, she showed them how to make a difference by believing in a fellow man. Sarah invites John for her parents' Christmas party and asks him to bring Emily along. When an army man drives up to the building, Sarah wants to make sure he doesn't disturb Dale. He claims he just wanted to stop and look at the tree. He asks who lives there, and Sarah informs him about Dale. He comes out and recognizes him as his son, Danny, and hugs him. Dale introduces Danny to Sarah and John. He explains that he puts up the tree every year because of him. When Danny's mother took him away on Christmas Eve, Dale pulled him aside. He asked him to look for the Christmas tree on the rooftop whenever he wanted to find him. Sarah understands that it was Dale's only hope to find his son. Danny explains that his mother changed their last name so no one could find them. He has been in the army for the last few years and drove to Rosedale the moment he got a leave for the holidays. He is glad he finally found Dale because of the tree. Sarah and John realize how important the tree is. John hopes they can get one like this together next year.